Hey Arcs, Criticaster here. Finally, we have gotten our first set of Photon arts in New Genesis. I've tried them all out, and I gotta say, they are a very welcome addition to the game. There's a new PA for each weapon except for Rod, Talus, and Wand. But instead, these have access to powerful compound techniques. I did a video on this recently, if you're interested. I'll put a card in the upper right of the screen. But let's get into these PAs. So I'll talk about each one individually, kind of show them off, and what situations to use them in, and some frame data if necessary. So first off, we have the Swords Photon art called Relentless Cleave. It has a potency of 790 and it costs 26 photon power. The description says, cut enemies in half with a powerful strike, and charging increases the attack range. This is a pretty quick and easy PA to trigger the Hunter's Avenger arts with. I would recommend using this when a boss is up and moving around if Caliber Streak is too hard to trigger Avenger arts with, but I would still use Caliber Streak during downs over this. It's pretty nice and easy. Next we have the Wired Lances PA, Hellish Fall. It has a potency of 1010 and a photon power cost of 30. Description is, when you strike an enemy, you leap into the air and follow up with a powerful overhead attack. Charge to launch an alternate attack. While charging, you take less damage and cannot be knocked back or launched. However, being hit twice will interrupt your charge and release the attack. So that was a loaded description, but to explain it better, the uncharged and regular charged versions are okay for damage, but nothing special compared to other weapons. However, the part where you hold the charge and take 2 hits is absolutely insane. The damage is off the charts to where I would say it is the best PA when facing fast attacking or aggressive bosses, like Bujin or Kelkundo, even Dustelhammer's shock traps. The downside is you do have to tank some damage, but thankfully there's damage reduction that comes with this, which looked like it halved all damage taken. Basically, use this against fast attacks by holding the PA, and then it auto triggers with Avenger arts. Alright, then for the last of the Hunter's PAs, Partisan, with Triumphant Shift. The potency is 840, and the photon power cost is 22. The description is, repeats a combo of striking into the air, a stab, and a cleave. This PA is a weird one for me, but from what I could see, this is good for gaining height or for mobility, but most of the time it seems like you use this as a tap Avenger arts with Partisan. I just had a hard time because it always like pushes you back if you use the full PA. So maybe you want to cancel it in between. Alright, so that's it for the Hunter weapons, but now we're going to move on to Fighter. First off, we have the Twin Daggers with Limber Figure. So it has a potency of 720 with a photon power cost of 24. The description is, after driving your blade into the enemy, you throw your weapon striking nearby enemies. Limber Figure is a great PA for AoE or mobbing overall, but you can actually use this into boss rotations as well. So instead of just buzzard spamming all the time like you used to, you can add Limber Figure's first half, or the damage over time effect, to the beginning, and then you proceed to buzzer spam until it's over, and then you just kind of like repeat it. It may be hard to keep this lasting effect on enemies that move a lot, but it can be great to add some damage to downed enemies. Next though, we have Double Saber's Sky Climb, which has a potency of 435 and a photon power cost of 17. After jumping in the air and doing a spinning slash, you slam your photon charge weapon down, unleashing a whirlwind. This PA overall is just really good. First off, it's good for repositioning vertically, as the first half causes you to ascend, while the second half causes you to descend. With the frame data, it also shows that this PA has more DPS than the other Double Saber PAs, but the caveat of that is that its whirlwind gain is less. However, it seems you can push out even more DPS if you skip to the second half of this PA, and it can also rival the rest of the PAs in being more damaging, DP efficient, and being faster. Moving on from Double Saber to the fighter's last weapon, Knuckles, is Backhand Strike. It has a potency of 240 with a photon power cost of 40. Its description is, negate your enemy's attack with a swift dodge and then smash your fist into the enemy with a mighty blow. Successfully negating the enemy's attack increases the potency. Don't be alarmed by the PP cost because this PA is just cracked for Knuckles. You'll want to use this version while you are moving to perform its counter. When you do so, you'll get a massive potency increase to the attack. It varies based on if you get a perfect or regular counter with it, but either way, it is just broken. Interweave this with weapon action counters and swift rush, and you'll just be destroying. So that's it for the fighter PAs, but let's move on to Ranger and Gunner. So first off, we have the Rifles PA called Revolt Aim. It has a potency of 660 and a photon power cost of 25. Its description is, powerfully bombard a location. The location will be displayed while pressing and holding the button, and then you release it to launch the attack. This PA can be a tricky one to use because it shoots at an exact spot. This, however, is really good on down, so much so that it rivals laser for DPS, as long as you shoot in the optimal range or when the reticle is orange. You can try to shoot at enemies when they're up, but they don't really work unless if they're slower or kind of like standing still. But next we have Launcher's PA Divine Impact. It has a potency of 570 and a photon power cost of 28. Description is, fires a blast in front of you. The recoil causes you to move back, but charging it will launch a powerful grenade instead. So the uncharged version of this is like a shotgun blast in front of you. I haven't seen much use for this other than it being just like a quick PA to use in between other attacks. But the charged version though is great for mobbing or PSE bursts when the enemies are close together. Up next we have Twin Machine Gun's Infinite Ricochet. Potency is 360 and the photon power cost is 20. It's where you fire ricocheting bullets to your front as you dance gracefully. Charging increases the potency. There isn't much to this PA, it's just another option for building chain. It's useful for attacking mobs in front of you, but it isn't great for much else. You could just stick with Bullet Rave and be completely fine. Now we're gonna move on to Braver's PAs. First with Katana with Radiant Lilac. The potency of this is 265 and the PP cost is at 12. The description is, slash your target with blinding speed. Multiple uses releases multiple attacks. This is the gap closer Bravers have been asking for a while now, and it does the job pretty well. This doesn't eliminate using wires as a multi-weapon though, because this PA does not give any verticality whatsoever. Just be aware this can also bring you through enemies as it's a fixed distance attack instead of a homing one. Regardless, this is a great gap closer and combo maintainer. For Braver's other weapon, the bow, it got Ceaseless Draw. It has a potency of 1570 and a photon power of 25. The description is, unleash arrows to your front as you make a long move, or charging it will release a flurry of photon arrows instead. First off, don't use the uncharged version of this like ever. This weapon action countering is better than using Ceaseless Draw for iframes and a backstep. The charged version, however, does more DPS than Charge Flex Arrow in certain situations. Ceaseless Draw is useful against enemies that can't be hit around, let's say, 3 times with Charge Flex Arrows piercing, most of the time. I say that because Ceaseless is a very long PA which doesn't give any knockback protection, so you might want to use it more on downs or when you are not targeted against the smaller enemies. So with the final class we have Bouncer. First we're going to do Soaring Blades, which got Raving Falcon. So the potency of this is 265 and the photon power cost is 12. Description is, unleashes a monster shockwave along with a combo slash. Pressing the PA button again during the attack will change it. So this gives Soaring Blades a ranged option, which is good to continue damage or keep up the physical down debuff on bosses. Pressing the PA again makes you do a decent gap close as well. Overall, this is a nice utility PA, but it's kind of slow. Then for the final one, we have Jet Boots with Surging Impulse. It has a potency of 320 and a PP cost of 20. The description is rapidly close in on your target and deliver a powerful kick attack. Pressing and holding the PA button will deploy several Photon blades that deal damage at the cost of additional PP, additional cost being 10 more. This PA is just amazing all around. It's great for building up the elemental blots with the charge version, and is even better than Fierce Wave when in close range or mobbing. Then with the uncharged version, it is faster than Thrust Drive at gap closing. It almost seems like you exclusively use this PA for Jet Boots now with all that utility and it being the highest DPS compared to the rest of its Photon arts. Well, that was a long one, but that was all the Photon arts. Hopefully you guys found this useful and I gave you some more insight on them. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you guys think I got anything wrong or, you do something different with the PAs in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. You all have a good one.